Chapter 13, MS Moons and Alien Languages. Like the stars, determining the differences between the moon orbiting Earth and a Matronic Sphere moon is nearly impossible. In this chapter, you will learn how all features of the moon can be recreated, controlled, manipulated, and erased, and how I made another powerful contact with extraterrestrials. I will also reveal my methods for uncovering extraterrestrial codes, data, and languages carefully buried in our atmosphere. Over the moon. While society remains clueless about what is happening on the front lines of the UFO and extraterrestrial visitations in the Matronic Sphere, inconspicuous moon activity commences, even in densely populated cities. While establishing communication with extraterrestrials, the longer you pay attention to the moon's odd activity, you can be seduced to stare for extended periods. Then, they will use their Matronic Sphere moons to communicate in various ways. Again, I maintain a childlike spirit during all interactions and present an innocent nature that every human possesses underneath our hardened exteriors. By maintaining maturity and confidence while releasing the practical, overly logical mind, the operators and all components of their Matronic Sphere respond favorably when I present an artistic, colorful, and powerful state of being, when I am in stressful peaks of thoughts, worried about my daily life, or thinking about financial woes. The stars, moon, and clouds ignore me on most days and nights. Alien mind breaker. During moonless nights, the moon hides for a day or two, or is covered by clouds or pollution. How many clear nights would it take for you to notice if the moon was nowhere to be found? What could humans do if the moon suddenly vanished forever? Will our civilization be able to create holograms of the moon and stars 100 years in the future? AI and holograms. In the entertainment industry, the use of holographic ideas has snowballed. The directors of the 2009 film Avatar made the creatures, planets, mountains, and exotic plants look utterly realistic. Not many can tell the difference on the news when the weather reporter stands before an animated weather map full of computer graphics. In the coming years, we will have the technology to show a mega action film over the downtown area in the clear skies above, Los Angeles, or project an image of the moon or sun in the sky. Holograms will effectively increase the efficiency and stunning realism of any presentation. The world is not only heading on a crash course with science fiction movies, we have arrived at their future. Sometimes traveling matter or blue screen/green screen special effects are the source of illusions. They may provide answers for our future technology. Blue screen special effects allow actors and scale models to find themselves in imaginary situations. They can appear in spaceships, dangling from rope bridges over gorges, or flying like Superman around the moon. Nearly all adventure and science fiction films come to life on a blue or green screen. The use of 3D holographic projections is in the infancy stage in this political sphere. The more aware you become of the artificial intelligence on our planet, the more you break the construct of old beliefs. When I discovered the moon could be replicated and uncovered my first set of alien language codes, I was rewarded with another visit from my allies in the sky. The following journal entry detailed the historic night MS Extraterrestrial Language Codes and Symbols. Journal entry, 12th contact. March 2007, 3 a.m. I was tired of watching the clouds through my bedroom window, as I have been doing almost every night, so I laid down and tried to stay awake. I propped a large pillow under my head and pressed my feet firmly into the window ledge. The clouds consumed the night with a bright white glow as I lay under the blanket to keep warm. The light post accentuated the clouds, creating a reflection with exceptional luminosity. Laying sideways across the bed, I maintained my childlike connection with the clouds, and an open heart and curious mind filled with positive energy. I could feel the clouds and stars' attention on me intensify. I feel beyond grateful when the Matronic Sphere subculture makes me aware they're watching. I feel like the luckiest man on Earth. As I focused on the brightest cloud puff in the sky, I realized my life had expanded into uncharted territories in ways I could have never imagined. Then, I focused on the metal handle that opened the window and used it for scale while I looked at the cloud. I used the metal bracket of the window like a microscope to investigate the smaller particles moving inside the cloud, which I had observed on numerous nights. In very little time, I started to see strange movements. I closed one eye and surprisingly, the longer I stared, I spotted small, dark lines moving quickly within the cloud's misty surroundings. The tiny dark particles were scrambling across the surface of the cloud and moving rapidly, in no specific order. At the 5-minute mark of my observation, I suddenly noticed symbols. At first, they looked like scribbly lines, but as time crept by, and I did my best not to blink, I became confident in my certainty. Symbols were flowing abruptly on the cloud. As my excitement began to build, I leaned forward to observe the symbols more intensely. Yet, each time I blinked, the path I followed to determine if the symbols were genuine would suddenly be erased, and I would have to start over. I became very frustrated. I could seldom keep from blinking long enough to reach the next stage of observations. As time passed, I was glad I could hold my stare long enough to reach the second stage of my efforts. The longer I stared, the more the symbols appeared and remained in my sight without straining my eyes to identify them. Q and A symbols are highlighted below. Some symbols look like letters scrolling quickly down from the sky and across the surface of the clouds. The symbols appear to be codes hidden or embedded in the clouds. But as I turned my head, held my gaze on the walls in my room, and repeated the same process for discovering the signs, I stood corrected. The identical symbols flowed generously throughout my room as well. Alien codes and languages have existed on our planet for an unknown period. Q and A symbols represent 7 primary codes, which one or more ET nations have stored in the Matronic Sphere. Q equals universal questions, and A equals alien data and answers. When I finally broke into the language banks of the MS clouds, my Q and A vision technique proved very effective at night. Depending on your location, the moon or street lamps will produce a theater effect that highlights the sky, showcasing what I call Matronic Sphere data particles. Mistaking MS data particles for clouds, fog, dust, and air pollution fragments is easy. They look like fast-moving debris, which can appear as dark or light debris particles. when scrutinized closely for extended periods. You will see disorganized codes and symbols in the atmosphere that look like part of a computer program, which led to the discovery of Q and A symbols. Below are the steps for uncovering the Q and A symbols. Skip to the next section if you are not interested in uncovering Q and A symbols. Q and A vision technique. Step 1. Close one eye and focus on a tiny section of the sky or a nearby cloud. At the same time, use something for scale, like a power line, building, or tall tree, to observe the activity in the sky. Do your best to focus, for example, on the power line while at the same time closely observing a small section of the cloud floating in the background. Hold your observation on no more than what's a few inches away from the field of view around the power line as you investigate. The power line will be your line of focus as you watch the cloud. If nothing is around you, do not worry, you can still succeed. Looking through a window, if no objects in the distance are present, focus approximately 6 inches away from the border of your window while watching the sky. More than 6 inches may distort your focus. Slightly crossing your eyes may also help, but closing one eye may yield the best results. Note, you should immediately notice how different the clouds look when you close one eye. In most cases, you will notice a substantial difference in how much static you observe in your environment. Fast-moving, tiny debris, static, or dark squiggly lines should be moving, popping, and bouncing across the clouds and sky. Step 2, hold your attention to the tiny particles without blinking. I was pulled into the visual matrix of the MS clouds, filled with unearthly designs. MS Moon duplication, journal continues. After successfully not blinking for 1 minute, the symbols I discovered started to slow down dramatically to a snail's pace. Then, a scroll of what appeared to be a foreign alien language, gliding quickly and in a straight line in incredible order, zipped through the clouds. The alien language reminded me of the stock exchange company code bar, which scrolls below the news on TV and lists companies' stock value. As the mysterious codes or language passed swiftly through the small section of the cloud, they became crystal clear. I did my best to open my eyes without blinking while observing them. I could only manage to open my eyes for about 1 minute as the codes whizzed by. I wrote down the details of what I remembered in that short time frame. I quickly grabbed my pen and pad, and effortlessly, I felt like I could write for hours without thinking. I could write the language more efficiently than writing English. Many of my closest friends and family have said I have the worst handwriting on the planet, but that was not true that night. I felt amazingly aligned when I jotted down the symbols. Once I recorded the codes, I could have written in the language or codes for hours. I had a spiritual connection to the graphics that was worth noting. The foreign language pulled on familiar chords inside me that I deeply felt, making me consider that I may have used the alien characters and language in another lifetime, while possibly living on another planet. I also possessed a new sense of well-being confidence, wisdom, and a broader connection to the universe. Since I knew reincarnation existed, my theory did not seem too bizarre. After I jotted down the codes while staring out my bedroom window, more discoveries sparked wilder activity. Glowing spheres suddenly hurled out of the sky across the street from my apartment at blinding speed and froze mid-air. They appeared after I wrote down the strange language in response to cracking the messages hidden in the clouds. I couldn't be happier. I couldn't be happier. One bright disk of light came to a dead stop directly above my neighbor's garage. The second rocketed out of the clouds and kidnapped the airspace above the giant Pacific Gas and Electric Company PG&E building. The PG&E building is about 3 stories high. It hogs up a large percentage of the block, directly across the street from my apartment and near where the first disk was positioned. The disc-shaped lights were stationed about 150 feet from one another, but controlled their airspace only 50 feet above the ground. Both illuminations had the same brightness and size as full moons when the moon first rises from the horizon and presents its best presentation. The round light above the garage distinguished itself from the other body of light by displaying a long crack, traveling jaggedly down its center. Small lines around its round edges merged into the air chamber surrounding it, like spider veins. The second disk of light echoed the same appearance, but did so in undisturbed illumination, without cracks or lines showing in its luminous texture. The air surrounding each light fixture appeared frozen around them as well. The new arrivals injected me with new possibilities and elevated my senses. Everything was happening so fast. The stillness of the eerie designs was incomprehensible. What could they be? And where did they come from so fast? Was it purely a coincidence that the lights dashed onto the scene on the night of a full moon directly after I wrote down the alien language? Although the familiar glow of the moon was near the end of its nightly duties, it radiated with more purpose when the lights arrived, and the Titan beauty that was supposed to be millions of miles away had somehow become connected to the 2 disks of lights. A moment or two later, the gleaming alien light, positioned above the large PG&E building, began traveling slowly and steadily toward the direction of the full moon on the lower horizon of the sky. The demonstration was about to commence. Fortunately, I had already committed a cardinal sin. I was paying too close attention to the circle of light hovering above the PG&E building. When I checked on the second disk above my neighbor's garage, it was gone. Before disappointment scratched away my positive mind, 2 small clouds appeared. The foamy guests floated beside the alien sphere and were no more than 20 feet away from it. An onlooker would be shocked to witness 2 large full moons at night until the operators ransacked the full moon. One of the small MS clouds to cover half the full moon, and the second cloud to cover half of the alien disk of light. Only the moon's bottom half and the alien light's top half were visible. Carefully, the operators slowly moved their artificial sphere through the clouds, until it sat directly on top of the full moon. A narrow strip of gray cloud was the only visible separation between the two glowing fixtures. The gray mist appeared to be an intended effect, an artistically neat line of separation to help me understand the difference between the alien's fake and real moon. The operators wanted me to know precisely where the moon, muddied with darkened land masses and craters, was positioned relative to their dynamic, faceless, and glowing creation. Then, the operators paused their demonstration until I nodded to let them know I understood what was occurring and gave the signal to move on. After I nodded and raised my hand, they quickly moved the demonstration forward. The operators always prepared me for the next stage of their presentations in this way. Proceeding along, the operators moved their alien light slowly from side to side within the cloud. It looked like a searchlight was rocking back and forth beneath the cloud. I nodded again and gave a thumbs up, and the disk of light stopped creating the searchlight activity and stopped moving. Now the brightness of their artificial disk and the radiance of Mother Nature's real moon were identical. The gray mountains and craters were the only characteristics or properties missing on the alien disk of light. Even a trained expert from NASA would have a great challenge determining the difference between the two glowing spheres. A pedestrian would only see clouds halfway covering the moon. The clever cover-up was a diversion, a purposeful act created with unbelievable technology. The human brain appears to be the only factor that allows the most incredible illusionists, unknown to humanity, to continue to fool our intelligence. For about 5 minutes, the night was still until a brisk carriage of wind swirled past my window. Then, the cloud partially covering our most revered light in the night covered it completely. The operator's strategic moves were proceeding as planned. They relieved the natural moon of its duties and pulled back the tiny gray cloud. Their artificial satellite with no face, hills or mountains was the only attraction in the sky. The greatest wizards in the universe had erased our so-called real moon from the heavens and carefully replaced it with an imposter. Once the faceless wonderment took sole possession of the dark, a threatening, murky cloud moved into the scene. As the intimidating cloud floated slowly toward the alien moon, streaks of its dark vapors trailed slowly away. Then, the dark streaks of clouds inched across the sky, strip by strip, and moved directly onto the surface of their artificial moon. It looked like a giant artist was using slices of gray clouds like paint to fabricate the mountains and craters on the artificial moon with the utmost precision. In only 3 to 4 minutes, the operators reproduced the exact characteristics of the moon using streaks of the dark cloud. Then they covered their new alien moon with small clouds that appeared suddenly from the dark and surrounded it without warning. The foreign designers duplicated the moon's appearance so accurately, with soft whisks and strokes of the clouds. I thought I was staring at the real thing. There were absolutely no differences between the moon and the artificial twin when they completed the alien artistic design. A few seconds later, the operators covered their imposter moon with the dark cloud puff. My curiosity inflated as I investigated the sky for more activity. There were no moons or light in the sky for a good while, only the tiny dark clouds. As I looked around to see what would occur next, I leaned so far out of my window that I nearly fell out. Since neither the real moon nor the imposter MS Moon could be identified as genuine, I concluded that no moon could be classified as authentic unless you can touch the surface. Before the night's events ended, the dark clouds covering both moons withdrew like large theater curtains. Again, what I believed to be the original moon splattered the night with its bright light until dawn. But where was the other disk of light? I asked myself. The phantom light was gone. How would I know which moon was authentic? Who had the power to reconstruct the moon, other than a god?
Which of these three magnificent moons is your favorite?
Again, I was thoroughly impressed, but, as always, left with more questions. Journal entry ends. Moon communication. Operators can create subtle changes in the moonlight to hold your attention when watching. For one simple example, they can distort its radiant glow by creating an off-centered illumination on the moon, by producing a lopsided glare beaming around the moon. Seconds later, the operators will push the glow surrounding the outer edges of the moon far to the left or right, while creating accompanying rapid pulsations. Each precise step the conductors orchestrate may be short, sometimes even only seconds. An average skywatcher will not notice these passive actions. But suppose you remain patient and maintain a high level of interest or awareness of the moon's sudden deviation from regular activity. In that case, the operators will continue to communicate with you by reversing the actions I have just detailed. Soon, an inexplicable glow will travel around our most pleasant radiant sphere like a fast-moving Ferris wheel. The operators can even shrink a full moon down to the size of what will appear in the night, as the size of a basketball or softball. As you stand in awe, then, moments later, they will reverse this feat of excellence. And there are many ways advanced beings can use the moon to communicate. I challenge you to discover them all. Language codes. The picture below illustrates language codes that flooded my mind during meditation in Hercules Hills. I did not observe these codes in the clouds, but they may provide clues and answers. If you recognize the codes, please email me. Could they come from extraterrestrials? Is it a language from the communication of extraterrestrials of unknown origins? Or was it created only in my mind?